Welcome to Patscast, the unofficial Regina Pats podcast. We are a proud member of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. I'm Matt,
I'm Chris.
and this is our episode for July 14th, 2020. Thanks everyone for listening in. Give us a follow on Twitter at WHL Patscast or find us on Facebook, WHL Patscast, typically where we stream our episodes live. Tonight is just the audio version though, so you're not missing out on any of that great interaction. So this is our overdue Bantam draft review episode. It is easily one of our most successful episodes of the year. Right, Chris?
Definitely.
Definitely. And that is in a large part due to the fantastic information coming out of Draft Geek. This year we are fortunate enough to speak to Liam. Liam, welcome to Patscast. And for those unaware of Draft Geek and yourself, give us some idea of who you are and what you guys do.
Yeah, so I'm Liam. I live in Sherwood Park, which is just outside of Edmonton. This is just finished my second season with Draft Geek. The first year I just did more of like writing kind of deal, and then this year I kind of took the stride into scouting, which was a lot of fun, getting out to the rinks and kind of seeing all these guys that future stars in the WHL or SJAJ, whatever league it is, and then yeah, so that was really fun. Finished my first draft. Was supposed to go out to all the BC Cup, Alberta Cup, all that, but obviously COVID kind of ruined all those plans for everybody who was supposed to go and the draft and stuff. But yeah, it was a really fun year. I do writing for a website called Below the Ice, which is focused on junior hockey in Western Canada. Where kind of me and my friend Tyler Remchuk, who works on TSN 1260, started it when we were radio school together at Nate. So we've been kind of over the last few years working closely with the Sherwood Park Crusaders, which were nice enough to eventually hire me, which was great. And then, but now we're trying to take the next step and develop in that. So yeah, I kind of keep my feet wet in the junior hockey world, wherever it may be.
Awesome. So you're out of Sherwood Parks. Did you get out to any of those get to see BC teams or anything like that? Or Saskatchewan for that matter?
There was Saskatchewan was kind of a difficult one to see. The teams that came into Edmonton were Regina came in, that's for sure, and Sam Aramba, who went, I believe he went 7th to Seattle, right? He kind of blew me away what he was like, so he was really fun to watch. And yeah, a lot of the BC teams came in for the CSSHL showcase, which I believe was in October, held at the River Cree, where NAX play, and then NAX hosted another tournament, which Regina was at around Christmas time, and the John Reed, of course, which is a massive tournament. There was a lot of talent there, so yeah, I didn't leave the province to kind of go see anybody, but a lot of the talent that came into the Edmonton area was really, really fun to watch, and kind of opens your eyes to see like how much talent there really is out there for this draft.
Absolutely. You guys put out this draft guide. For anyone who hasn't seen this thing, it's exceptional work that this group does. And I think it's way too cheap, whatever you guys charge for it. The amount of work that you guys put into it, I think, is phenomenal. And yeah, whatever it costs, it's super cheap. It's well worth your money. And does Draft Geek do any other work throughout the year, or is this kind of their flagship project?
Yeah, so throughout the year we build reports to put into this, but we do have little ones that come out throughout the year. So there's one that comes out, I believe it's just before like November time, and then one right after Christmas, right after the John Reed tournament. That major tournament is a good landmark for us to release one, and then we release one right before the draft too. So we release 3 throughout the year.
Great. When I was reading through it, and we'll preface this episode with this too, and you guys do that in the guide, just saying it doesn't necessarily matter where someone's picked and what we say about them as just fans and what you say about these kids. They are just kids, and it's just a reminder that it doesn't matter what we say, really. It's now that you're in the league, or even if you're a list player and you're showing up to camp, it's the ethic that you put into it. And I mean, they're just kids. This is just a starting point for them. And yeah, I just really like that you guys put that in there, that you recognize that.
Yeah, it's definitely important to know, because the thing is too, a lot of us who are doing it are also only been doing the scouting for a couple of years, so it's almost similar to the players entering the draft. There's a lot of room for error and improvement and stuff. So really, our opinion doesn't matter that much, I guess you could put it. I don't know,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're still kids. Once they can get in the system, and you guys, a lot of them, you qualify or quantify the write up on the player, saying if he puts in some work to this, he can take that next step. And I think that's it's refreshing to see that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and everybody has a different opinion of the same player, right? So it's all your own opinion.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Now, that being said, I think there is a consensus on our first pick, a young man by the name of Connor Bedard. I think Regina is fully on the Bedard train, and he's brought level excitement to the team that hasn't been here for a few years at least. We had some success with the Memorial Cup year and the year before that with some quality teams, but has struggled since. So getting this first overall pick, and of course Connor Bedard being the first player in WHL history to receive exceptional status has really rejuvenated the league, or the team at least. And unfortunately, I don't know if we'll be able to ride that train out right now. But anyways, we're hanging a lot on him. I hope it's not too much pressure on him. I haven't got to see him. I don't think, Chris, you've seen anything other than the clips online. Did you get a chance to see him play at all?
I've only ever been lucky enough to see him play once, and that was actually last season with him going to midget. This past year, it kind of conflicted with my work schedule, but I saw him play at the John Reed last year as an underage player, and I believe the West Van typically don't have too many underages go up and play whatever level it may be. So the fact he was easily their best player when I saw him last year, they played the Burnaby Winter Club in a John Reed bronze medal game, and it was a shootout. The final score was like 7-4 or something like that, and I'm pretty sure Bedard had a point on every single goal. And there was one play in particular that I remember. Do you guys remember that Bobby Ryan move where he kind of like goes over the guy and then comes back over again? I think it was Bobby Ryan who did that. Well, Bedard did that to somebody, and he was like really early in the game, and it was just like, well, who is this kid? And kind of from that point on, you kind of watch him and track him, but there isn't much errors in his game then, as I believe he would have been only 13 at the time, 14. So now, even 1 year later, he's only just got better. And I mean, just everything kind of about his play, his skating, and just kind of his patience and his intelligence on the puck is pretty remarkable to watch. And I was lucky to watch Matthew Savoy play too last season, a little bit this season as well. And they're very similar players, but I think Bedard's kind of, I don't know how to quite describe it, but yeah, I think his eliteness is really it's gonna be amazing to kind of watch him develop and play with Regina, and just to see his progression from 1 year where he had barely any errors to the next year where he has even fewer is quite amazing to watch him kind of grow.
In your write-up, you draw some allusions to Matt Barzal, who we know all too well in Regina when he was with the Thunderbirds. He single-handedly took over the WHL Championship Series, in my opinion. We didn't get to see, of course, we don't see those West Coast teams very often. And when they rolled into town and he started playing and just literally skating circles around our players, and this is a WHL championship caliber team, right? You had Sam Steele, Adam Brooks, Austin Wagner, Josh Mahert. You had NHL professional hockey players, and he was skating around them. And I just remember seeing him, and it's taken me a little while to get over that. But now watching him in the NHL, I feel so privileged that I did get to see him play. And so, I mean, if there's any correlations between him and Connor Bedard, then we are going to be in for a treat eventually here in Regina watching him play. You did speak a little bit about Matt Savoy. It's hard not to talk about him because he was also going for the exceptional status in the WHL. Kind of got a quasi WHL exceptional status somehow. You got to play. How many games was it, Chris? He was allowed to play 30 or
33, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's allowed to play a bunch, but he never did, I think, fulfill that with the injury that he suffered.
Yeah, so that's kind of leading me into the question is what is your feeling on exceptional status? Is Connor, obviously he was granted, people talk about his maturity mentally. I still worry about the physical nature of a 15-year-old out there against some 20, even 21-year-olds if they have their birthday and they're, is that, how do you feel about that?
I think it's definitely an interesting topic, and seeing Savoy kind of get hit the way he did last year obviously raised even more questions about it. But I just feel like a lot of these players who are getting the exceptional status, like how many is it now? I think there's 6 or 7 overall. They're highly intelligent players, and I think they read the game a lot better than a lot of the other players do, which kind of helps them avoid those big hits like Savoy took. And I think a big reason why Savoy maybe didn't have quite the success everyone kind of expected him to have was the back and forth between playing in Winnipeg one night and then having to go and play midget AAA the next night where you could just skate around everybody. It kind of, I guess it like triggers your awareness a little bit where you think, okay, well, I'm playing for rink tonight against some team who has 5 wins, and then he's able to zigzag through everyone, score, pick the puck up, put it at center ice, and then go do it again. Where the next night he can't quite do that, and I feel like that inconsistency that Savoy was handed to him really affected that. But now I think with Bedard, he's going to be an every game player, and the first few games, obviously, you got to think first 10, 15, 20 games, whatever it may be, it'll be an adjustment period for him. But I think once he kind of gets the track on the speed of the game and the awareness around it and how he needs to be and where he needs to be on the ice, I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. So I guess to get back to your original question, I'm all for the exceptional status, but I think if you're going to do it, you got to commit to it. You got to tell the players that you're fully in this, you're not going back and forth. Okay. And that's why I think Bedard will be, I guess, more beneficial to it than Savoy was.
That's a good point. I never really thought about that because I was certainly watching Savoy with a bit of a critical lens and didn't really think about him going back and forth and just that inconsistency of the game and the level of play leading to some of his struggles. I just worry. Yeah, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I totally had that on my mind. I totally thought that was an issue with him just not getting any consistency at the WHL level. So that was on my mind.
And then one other thing. Stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, who's he practicing with every day? Is he practicing with rink or is he practicing with the ice? Right. Mm-hmm. So like, that's a tough go. And like Liam said, you got to be consistent. You got to go one or the other. You can't do both. And that'll help Bedard, obviously. And one thing I did want to mention that from the few clips that I did see, he does like to play physical. So he's got the skill and talent and stuff like that, but he's obviously aware of the physical nature and playing up, an age group where he was playing 16, 17 year old guys when he's 14.
Yeah.
That'll help for his transition to the WHL as well, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything we haven't heard about Connor, do you think? I mean, he dominated the media here for the first few weeks, and I saw even after the draft, they were selling his T-shirts with his number, and you could selling season tickets $98. You can get your season ticket reserved, and it was they were riding the PR train is on board here too.
Yeah, he's a good marketing piece, that's for sure. It'll help a few jersey sales, but I think at this point, like, there's not much else to really say about him except go watch him play when you can, because this kid, he's special, and I'll never forget the first time I saw him play, because I was just casually sitting there thinking, it's just a bronze medal game, we'll kind of see what happens, and then this kid just came out and just, like, it was Brandon Lizowski, I believe his name was, he went to Saskatoon 6th overall last year,
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually the player I was going there to watch. And then Bedard just caught my eye the entire game. You can't take your eyes off him. So yeah, I would just say to Regina fans or wherever he's traveling to, like if you can go and watch this kid, do it while you can, and tickets are cheaper.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's move on to our second round pick, Matthew Wood, center. He's listed at 6 foot, 155 pounds, also out of West Van. Yeah, can you let us know anything about him?
Yeah, so Matthew Wood, we had him pretty high. We had him at 8.
Yeah.
And he was kind of hard to read as a player throughout the year because I know I really hate using this term, but he has like lazy attributes to his game, which I don't think he's a lazy person by any means, but sometimes you kind of see him like maybe lurking around a little more than other guys, but I feel like that's kind of his game. And then when you start to watch him more consistently, you see he's kind of like waiting for his prey almost, if you want to call it that, where he'll just like pick someone's pocket, turn the pocket up the ice and just go.
Okay.
And like he's a good player and he's a good presence on the ice, and he played really well with Graydon Slippick. Him and the two of them kind of good 1-2 punch in West Van this past year. And yeah, I think Slippick went to Kamloops, I believe. But I know from what I've kind of heard, Wood maybe dropped a little bit because they were unsure of his commitment to the league as a whole. But now apparently him and Bedard are pretty good friends, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. So I think the fact that Regina was able to get him in the second round, was it 31st overall, 41st, whatever it was, they got a steal of a player, and I think he's going to be a really good complementary piece with Bedard, and those two could kind of maybe work off each other. But I also think he can drive his own line down the future too, which would be a nice 1-2 punch again down the middle with Bedard at first line center and then Wood in the middle there. He's kind of, I think he'll be good in both ways, where he can play with Bedard or not with Bedard. But yeah, I think his tendencies maybe look a little lazier than they actually are. But offensively, he's really good minded and he's very skilled too. Like for a big guy, like he's already 6 foot, so you got to think he's going to grow a little bit more, and which will definitely help him take that next step into the WHL whenever that may be. But yeah, I think he's a very entertaining player to watch, and especially on that West Van team too, which was, they probably had the most players picked, I think, overall, and especially high. So the fact that like he was their offensive guy and they were one of the best teams really should say a lot too about him as a player.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was noticing you guys had him ranked high, and he fell to 41 for us, 41st pick overall. And I was wondering if it was some commitment issues or whatever, but it sounded like, I think getting Connor Bedard helped a lot of those commitment issues. But I was just noticing you guys did say he has heavy feet, and it sounds like what you're saying, like he's in the write-up here, a calculated attacker. So he's someone maybe doesn't waste energy, so to speak, and just when he does see an opportunity, pounces on it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Like he's, like say, he kind of really waits for his opportunities to kind of pounce, whether it be defensively stealing the puck or, kind of hopping into the attack. And it's funny because I saw Matthew Wood a lot this year, and he was such a hard player to judge, like on the list, because I know some guys in our team liked him really high as like a top 5 pick, and then other guys were like, okay, well maybe this guy is kind of early second, late first guy, kind of where he went. So he was a hard guy to judge there. But I remember watching him against OHA Edmonton, who were another really good team, and he showed up. Like he came to play, he made a lot of good plays at both ends of the ice, and he had this one move which I think the goalie made a pretty lucky save on, and yeah, it probably would have been the goal of the tournament, the way he kind of dragged it around the goalie and everything he did with it, and just showed, like you said, like we said in that, he's a very calculated attacker. So yeah, I think down the road he's going to be a really good pick for Regina.
Awesome. Then, well, Chris, we'll talk about this later. We traded away a second round pick for a goaltender. We'll talk about that later. That was kind of a big move for us. 71, 73, and 74. We had a string of picks here. A neat situation for Regina, but started off with 71st picked Carter Herman out of Swift Current. He's also tall, 6'1", only weighing in at 147 pounds, but hopefully fills in that frame. Again, a left-handed defenseman. And can you give us a little insight on him?
Yeah, so offensive defenseman. I believe he had 37 points this past season and 11 or 13 goals. And I think from what I've seen, I've never actually seen him play live, but from clips and stuff, he really likes to get up in the attack and kind of join that, which was perfect for him playing on Swift Current. They were one of the highest scoring teams in Saskatchewan, which is just had a ton of defensemen this year with just offensive guys. And Herman kind of fell into that category. His skating's okay from what I've seen. And I think he's already 6'1", so you got to imagine again, even if he stays at 6'1" and kind of just fills out, he's already a good size defenseman to play in the WHL, so it kind of depends on which way he goes. And from what the brief periods I saw of him, he's a good offensive player who good skating, decent skating, likes to get up in the attack. And again, I think just him playing on Swift Current really helped him benefit offensively the way he did. And he's not like too physical either. He's very timely on his checks, and he's being at 6'1", he's kind of can lay a heavy hit if he needs to. It's just that you don't see it too often.
Okay, at that size might have a good heavy shot when he gets some weight behind him too.
For sure.
Could be someone like who am I thinking of? Connor Hobbs, possibly, Chris, hey?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
It just feels like we haven't replaced him since he left either.
No,
that
definitely
caliber
not.
Defenseman.
No.
Okay, and then into our 73rd pick, Tanner Howe, Prince Albert Pirates. He's a centerman. Doesn't have his height and weight here. Oh, I did find it. He's yes, that's it. He was small, 5'5", 130 pounds.
5'5", yeah. Yeah, he's a short guy, and he led Prince Albert in points this year. I believe he had 75 points in 30 games.
Yeah,
something around there.
Yeah.
And I mean, at 5'5", if you're able to kind of get around and get that many goals, it's promising, And I think that he kind of led the way for them quite a bit. He was a second-year player for them, so he was good there for them. And I haven't seen him too much. Obviously, being 5'5", it's difficult to be a physical presence out there. And you kind of, I know we've spoke about in the report here, he gets soft a little bit from time to time. But again, if you're 5'5", 14-year-old kid, it's hard to be a big physical presence out there. But I just think those kids who are maybe a little shorter than everybody else, and you can call them soft if you want to, but it kind of benefits them down the line and being able to avoid those big hits, and kind of know how to play away from the physicality and get where you need to go. Like I've seen numerous players in the Alberta Junior Hockey League that I work in, just kind of, you develop it, like Sherwood Park had a player this past year called Vincent Scott. And at the start of the year, he kind of worried about what he was going to be like on the ice, and he was getting hit maybe a little too often. And eventually you just adapt. And I feel like a guy like Tanner Howe, who's 5'5", you got to think he's going to get bigger. And even if he only gets to 5'8", 5'9", what he's been able to kind of learn right now, not being that physical guy and avoiding those checks, maybe could benefit him down the line. So it'll be interesting to kind of see. His growth is obviously going to be the biggest thing that kind of separates him from being a junior A player to a WHL player, perhaps.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you have to play. You play to your ability and your size, in that matter. And I'm sure he's figured out a way to play. Obviously, he has, scoring 75 points. He's obviously figured something out. And if he can avoid the contact and absorb it or whatever he needs to do. We've had a small player, Cole Dubinsky. I wouldn't call him soft, but he was certainly smaller when he first came into the league, and he played a few games as a 15-year-old, and I think he kind of took it upon himself to be out there and kind of stir things up and be physical. It kind of, I don't want to say little man syndrome, but he was out there causing some havoc as a little guy, as a 15-year-old, and but he's filled out, and he's doesn't look small out there anymore. Hey, Chris?
Yeah, definitely. That's for sure.
And he's like physically, I remember seeing him as a 15-year-old, like they walk around, and then saw him later on, I think the next year, and he was just like his shoulders got broader, and he obviously hit the gym and was just starting to fill out. So, I mean, 5'5" when you're 14, it's not a exactly set in stone, right?
Yeah, exactly. Who knows what's going to happen? He might even grow to 5'11" by the end of the summer, for all we know.
Right, exactly.
Well, and then even you look at skilled small guys like, say, like a Brandon Cozen, like a few years ago when Eberle was here, kind of smaller guys that still they managed to put up points despite their size, and like he didn't move on to the next level in the NHL, but he carved out a decent pro career in in Europe and Russia and stuff. So,
but even like, how tall is Adam Brooks, they're not monsters out there either. They're
No, they aren't.
Right.
So,
yeah, you can certainly be successful.
Yeah, and obviously the game's trended that way to smaller, more skilled guys, whereas 10, 15 years ago, he wouldn't have had a shot, right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Okay, next up was Ty. I'm going to say his name wrong. Player. I want to say Palliser, but that's wrong. Player.
Yeah.
So
I unfortunately didn't see him too much at all this season, but yeah, he's a kid out of Manitoba. Played for the Southwest Cougars this past year. 29 points as a defenseman, so 5'11". So you've got to assume this guy's got some offensive abilities already, which is promising. Another offensive defenseman for Regina by the looks of it.
And I see the note here: smooth skating defenseman who can naturally create shooting lanes from the blue line, good foot speed and edge work. Just kind of, I think Chris, you were talking to John Paddock last year. And one of the first things they talk about is, well, the kid can skate. That's kind of a standard answer. And skating, it seems to be such an important thing to, all teams probably, but certainly John Paddock that we've talked to, the GM of the Pats. And so if you guys recognize that too, I'm sure they did as well. And the base they can build off with. I think, if they can skate, they can teach them the finer things from then on.
Yeah. For sure.
Right, and then we went off to get a goaltender out of Anchorage. Now, people might think, Anchorage, Alaska, but those teams travel quite well, do they not?
Yeah, definitely. Like they gotta get around for people to see him, I guess, right? And I think that kid played in that last season in Alaska, had a pretty good year, and then came down to Chinook, St. Mary's, right? And yeah, his numbers 894 is a save percentage, which as I've kind of learned over this past year, like the goalie numbers can be very iffy sometimes. So I think even looking at that, because I know most people look is like, hey, is it over 900 kind of deal? But if he's around that mark and 27 games, a 2.5 save percentage, so
yeah,
looks like he's had a promising season. That's for sure. I think we spoke about it before. He's already 6'1".
Yeah. So we're talking his name. We didn't mention his name, Florian Wade. I also saw his record was 22-2, I think. Like, yeah, you can get hung up on numbers, .894, 2.56 goals against, but 22-2. So his team's obviously doing okay. And yeah, 6'1", mm-hmm. and there wasn't a write up on him, so I did Google him, and there's some YouTube clips, and I'll tweet some of those clips out on our Twitter. But he is that tall. He is tall. He's 6'1", and he stands out just physically with the players he was playing against. He looked good. I mean, it was a highlight video, of course, so they're going to show his best things, but he looked pretty good to me. Good lateral movements, and we'll tweet out those videos though.
Yeah, the size is nice to see. I know some NHL teams don't even consider goalies under 6'2" nowadays, and like they've come out and said, not come out and said, but off the record kind of thing, like, we don't look at goalies under 6'2", and you look at a guy like Dustin Wolf, who's been the best goalie in the league for the last 2 years, and he gets drafted like he was one of the last picks. Mm-hmm. Like,
how tall is Dustin Wolf?
It's just, he's only like 6 foot. He's
was
just
Carter Hart tall?
Right around that. I believe he is probably a little taller, yeah. But Wolf, he has almost better numbers than Hart had in the
Yeah.
WHL,
Yeah.
and he barely got drafted. Like it's just kind of crazy.
And
To
we've
me, anyways.
had the privilege of watching Matt Sogard once in a while with Medicine Hat, and yeah, just that big goaltender is an advantage. It just is.
Yeah, Dustin Wolf is listed at 6 foot even, so
Okay.
like yeah, it's interesting, that's for sure. And yeah, so but that's teams they have their guys who are their what they're looking for in guys, and that's what they go with, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, next up was Owen Beckner out of St. George's School. Can you give us some information on Owen?
Yeah, so I think Owen kind of climbed up the rankings quite a bit after John Reed. We didn't have him ranked in our first newsletter or the second one, but St. George's had a really strong John Reed. They came second, I believe, to Yale is who they beat, and kind of put a few more eyes on them because for the most part they played Alberta midget club team, Bantam club teams, rather than playing the I guess you could call them the stronger prep team. So maybe a bit of an easier ride, but it kind of helps those guys almost showcase more of the talent when they're playing there. So I think that really benefited Owen Beckner, and yeah, he's a playmaking forward. He's got good puck handling abilities, and he's more of a perimeter player kind of guy, and good passing movement. He kind of sneaks in and out is a good way to describe him. He's technical. He's got good framework we put here, and yeah, I think his skating was probably one of the better parts from what we saw. And yeah, he could be a good bottom six guy eventually down the road, but I think right now he's still a pretty raw player, and yeah, he's got some development to do. But a good pick for fifth round, I believe he went in. Yeah, seventh round. Sorry. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he's a player that maybe could come up in a few years' time. But from what we saw at John Reed, he developed pretty well throughout the year. So yeah.
Awesome. Out of curiosity, is that John Reed televised in any sense? Like,
it is streamed online. I can't remember what it's called, but I know just from Googling the John Reed Memorial Cup streams, it just comes up, and yeah, it's like you can go back and watch games from years past too.
Oh, you can go back.
Yeah, okay. You can go back and watch.
That'd be interesting.
Especially from last year. Anyway, I guess I haven't looked past last year.
Yeah,
but I could watch the 2019 tournament. So yeah, it's a good tool, and it's really fun to go to kind of, I mean, you have all the best prospects in your town, so you may as well go.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, next up, kind of an interesting one. So you guys had him ranked 62. Brady Milburn fell to the 9th round to us. Is there something going on, or what was the deal there, do you think?
Yeah, I don't know anything kind of out of the ordinary that really went on with him. I quite liked him when we watched him. I think one thing that maybe didn't benefit him so much, he was the third best player on his line. He played with Zach Benson and Jordan Keller, and Zach Benson went to Winnipeg, and I can't remember in the first round. I can't remember where Keller went, but I believe he was a top three round pick too. And yeah, he kind of worked as more of a complementary player to those two guys rather than drive his own like a lot of guys do. But the thing is, when you go to those big schools like the Yales or West Vands, it's sometimes difficult to kind of showcase everything you've got because there's so much talent actually around you. But I think Brady Milburn did a really good job at being that complementary piece for those two guys. He's a very calm and confident player on the puck from what I watched him play. He kind of picks his moments when he needs to be, and it was good. He kind of, you could see those three guys had really good chemistry and they worked well together. And I think Milburn's, just kind of his casualness on the puck and just calm and poised really, really helped him. He did have an injury in the year as well, which kind of kept him out a little bit. But I think down the road, I personally think this could be, aside from Bedard, I think this guy could be the best pick that Regina could have taken, just because I think he can eventually slot in as a top six forward, whether it be with Bedard and kind of complement him or even Matthew Wood on the second line too, if that's kind of how it goes. But I think this guy could be just as important as a guy like Wood could be. And I'm not going to say as important as Bedard because obviously he's going to be really good. But I think what he could bring to the team could be a difference maker, really.
Wow.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was just interested. I saw as the draft was going, I was watching it live, and 9th round came in, and they had our pick, and I was like, "Where is this guy?" I was scrolling through, and then I saw him up so high in your list. So that's interesting. Yeah, it'd be nice to follow him over the next few years.
Yeah, hopefully I didn't put too high of expectations on the kid, but I think he's really good, and I think just kind of seeing him work with those other two really skilled players like Benson and Keller that over the year, he shows that he's capable of playing with high caliber talent.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like you look at your list here, and you look at 63, the next guy down the list, Brady Burney, and he may have been a complementary piece to Sam Aremba, but on the other hand, instead of him being lower down, he gets picked 21st overall, where teams think, oh, maybe he is that good, maybe he isn't a complementary piece, maybe he's as good as Aremba kind of thing. And so a team like Swift Current takes a chance on him in the first round. So it's kind of like, what do the teams actually see? It's all the opinion, right? Yeah,
exactly. Like our list, as long as it takes us forever to kind of put it together, and then the draft comes, and a lot of the players on the list get picked, but there's no way we'll ever pick the 200 in the exact order. And if we did, I'm going to buy a lottery ticket the next day because that'd be amazing.
No doubt.
Excellent. Okay, so our last pick was a goaltender, Kenneth Marquardt, with the Regina Monarchs. So you said you didn't get a chance to see him, and neither did we. I think this would be a good one. Any of our listeners who got a chance to see him, that'd be awesome for you to give us some feedback about him. He's kind of the last pick in the draft, sometimes Mr. Irrelevant, but we've had some good luck with a last pick in the draft once. Robbie Holmes was a last pick in the draft, so certainly doesn't destine you to not make the team or be an impact player, because Robbie was one of our 20-year-olds this year, so spent a lot of time with the Pats and became part of our foundation for a while.
Yeah, and you look at Max Paddock, he was a 9th rounder, I believe. Totally. So he turned out to be all right.
Yeah, so not a lot of information on him. Maybe someone did get a chance. If you did, just let us know on Twitter and share that with everyone else. Okay, now I do have some questions. Now, you've watched a lot of Bantam and younger hockey. There's, I wouldn't say an outside chance. There's maybe a good chance that we may not get to see a lot of WHL hockey or any at all this year. Some of the things we've been talking about is that maybe we become some hardcore Bantam hockey fans, and just because the intra-provincial games may go ahead and it'll just be Regina teams and Saskatchewan teams playing each other. I'm just kind of curious as to what do you look for when you go to these younger levels of hockey? Who, any lens or anything we should be looking for, and how do we watch those games and look for those standout players?
Yeah, so I know when I first started, I kind of had that same question too. Is what do I go? Do I just watch the best player on the ice and kind of write about him? But I think if you're gonna go to start with, obviously you kind of look at the stats and stuff and be like, hey, who are the top guys? And 9 times out of 10, they're gonna stand out off the page right away. Like I said before at the start, when I first watched the Regina Monarchs, admittedly, I didn't go to watch that game. They were on a couple of minutes beforehand, and then before the next game, and Sam Aremba comes out and just kind of blows you away. And I think a lot of times when you go, you kind of just gotta, first of all, you gotta know they're only kids at the end of the day. There's going to be a lot of mistakes, and I think the best part about it is just kind of you got to go in with an open mind to it, I guess. Just no, you're not going and watching an NHL game, and these kids are only so young. So yeah, I would say if you're just going to go watch and kind of learn the players and stuff, just don't be too overly critical to begin with. I would say just go and enjoy watching how talented these kids can be, and then as the year goes on, if you get to game 6, 7, 8, whatever it may be. Maybe that's a little too high for some of them, but just you kind of learn the tendencies of the players rather than going in being like, oh, this kid's not a good skater, or this kid has a bad attitude and he looks lazy kind of deal. I think you just kind of you got to go to a few games to kind of learn the players, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, it's definitely a different view. You're not going more for entertainment. You're going more for, project these guys. Are they going to get to the next level? Or are they going to get to the next level kind of thing? And so it's kind of, it's an interesting viewpoint.
Yeah, like I typically, obviously you leave games with opinions after one game, but I do my best to kind of try and maybe watch a couple of games before I put like a solid opinion together on the player, because who knows, one game maybe the kid didn't sleep very well for his 9 a.m. game on the west side of Edmonton when he lives in Sherwood Park, and he has to get over there. And there's different things you kind of got to, there's a lot of variables in it. Like most of them obviously are in school and everything. So I think it's just you kind of don't go into it with, like I said, with too much of you got to go into it with an open mind and just kind of watch these kids develop and then form an opinion on them.
Yeah, like you said, there's so many variables. The coaching can be, hit or miss. You don't know who's coaching these guys, like if it's just a parent or if there's an actual hired coach and stuff like that. Because I know I have a coworker and I have a nephew that are right in this age group. And, there's so many, and there's politics, with these teams and stuff like that. It can be a tough situation for some of these players. And yeah, like I said, you can't judge them on one game. Quite a few games, you see them and kind of base it off that.
Yeah, you got to gradually form an opinion rather than leaving the first game being like, okay, this is my report for the final year. Not going to watch this kid again because he had one bad game kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. Can't judge them on that. That was a great review again. Thanks for your time. And I don't know if there's anything else you want to say to finish us off.
No, I mean, I guess hopefully we can all be back in the rinks sooner rather than later and watch some hockey. And yeah, I guess for anyone who wanted to go back and look at some of these players, there's streams online for the John Reed, and on Hockey TV you can go watch a lot of the Bantam prep players from the West Vans and NAX schools. You can go watch all their games on there if anyone wanted to get a little more familiar with guys like Bedard and Wood and whoever else you're curious about in the draft.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, definitely. So, anyways, well, thanks for your time, Liam. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you again. And yeah, thanks for coming on and doing this.
Yeah, no worries. Have a good one, man. See you later.
You too.
Thanks again to Liam for his time tonight. Follow him at Draft Geek Hockey and Below the Ice, both on Twitter. And thanks for listening, and give us a follow at WHL Patscast on Twitter, or find us on Facebook, WHL Patscast. Again, we usually stream our episodes live on there to get your feedback, and that really makes this podcast and live streaming a lot more fun when you guys can be part of it. Now, we are planning an episode hopefully next week, the week of July 20th or so. And we do have some Pats news to talk about. There's the import draft, and then our opinions about the season coming up and what that's going to look like. So join us for that. Should be dropping next week. And thanks for listening to this, and thanks to Liam and Draft Geek Hockey. Good night.